1 million years ago, Earth's faunal composition was dramatically different from the cast most are accustomed to today. Known now only from whatever remains managed to petrify or otherwise preserve, these ancient beasts, despite their geologic recency, leave much to the imagination. How exactly did they survive, behave, live? Certain pieces of evidence can grant us a tiny window in which we might potentially glean answers, but try as hard as we may, this ancient puzzle will never be complete in its entirety. These ancient beasts, they were wiped from the earth. Yes, many were victim to familiar drivers of extinction, naturalistic processes promoting unsavory circumstances, but these animals faced a pressure none before had ever seen. Us. Last year saw the release of Prehistoric Planet Ice Age, an attempt through a marriage of real-world cinematography and computer-generated imagery to tell the story of such ancient beasts. It's pretty good. I personally had a great time watching. In proper Prehistoric Planet fashion, this production is among the most visually stunning pieces of paleo art there is. There are certainly some qualms I could bring up. It's rather strange that a documentary seemingly intended to inspire interest in extinct life would be so averse to naming said extinct life. But this video is not a review. Rather, seeing these animals brought to life so effectively, it's a little heartbreaking, right? Now these animals, to say they existed 1 million years ago, it's a bit of an oversimplification. Temporally, the show seems to cover a much larger portion of the Pleistocene than it lets on. Many of these animals are older than claimed, but a lot of them survived to much younger times as well. They were really right there. Us, today, we almost got to see a lot of this. People once walked alongside them, not some small mammal that would eventually give rise to us. We are well out of the Mesozoic now, but people. They would have looked like us. Their lives would have been complex in ways so similar to our own. They made art. People once saw these animals in life and were drawn towards their image, inspired. There are illustrations of them made recently enough to persist until today, and yet we are just barely too late to see them alive firsthand. It's hard not to see ourselves as the problem. Humans are ultimately responsible for their extinction. Maybe not entirely, but their disappearance was at the very least largely driven by anthropogenic forces. That very same species that learned to depict these animals in art was the very one to ensure their downfall. And that species, it's us, Homo sapiens. Productions such as Prehistoric Planet Ice Age are a testament to how fascinated people still are with these creatures, even in their absence. To recall how fixated more ancient peoples once were with these animals in life, and how much they still inspire us even in death, it's easy to wonder how different the modern day would have been had these ancient beasts continued to thrive alongside us. In what ways would they have awed us? In what ways would they have made us laugh? In what ways would looking through their eyes make us question our place in this world, in this universe? The diversity of life is miraculous, and knowing we were so close to so much is devastating. "44 years ago, the California condor, among the largest living birds, had a population count of only 22. 5 years later, the animal disappeared entirely from its native habitat. Not unlike those ancient beasts it once lived alongside, their disappearance was caused by us. However, unlike them, and as anyone who knows anything about California condors can tell you, these animals did not go extinct. They entered human captivity, and under the careful eye of conservationists, they were brought back from the brink of extinction. Today, their world population approaches 600, many of them roaming free in the wild, and each one a descendant of those original 22. It can be easy to see humanity as the summation of our misdeeds. Our influence on the planet is undeniable. Our dispersion across the globe brought with it extinction, after all. It's not like we've made peace with nature today either. But people can do good. Our species is composed of billions of individuals, and many of them depart from this notion of destructiveness and overconsumption one might associate our presence with. Of those billions of individuals, there are some who do so much to establish peace with nature, to rehabilitate it. I don't think it's fair to think of ourselves as the problem, since just as much can we be the solution. As for those ancient beasts, it's true that their disappearance, by humanity's hunger, can hurt to think of. But maybe that's okay. In a way, I think it's a good thing to sort of mourn these creatures, to hold a sort of reverence towards them. I think it's indicative of a person's ability to empathize with the world around them. It shows how much they care. It's that very empathy that pushes people to take action to conserve life today, to prevent future extinction. Beyond that, there are ways one can celebrate what lived during the Pleistocene. A paleoartist myself, illustrating these animals alive once more is incredibly rewarding. It's bringing them back to life, so to speak, or an interpretation of them, at least. Sharing that reconstruction can invite other people to become interested in these creatures themselves, to remember them. Maybe then would they even feel inspired enough to illustrate their own take. That's how I got started, anyways. To depict these creatures, it's not dissimilar from what the people who got to see them firsthand were doing. The tools may be different, but whether by the light of flame on the walls of a cave or through the glow of a screen on a digital canvas, one can always remember these animals by making art. I like to think of it as a way of allowing that initial interest for these ancient beasts to live on, continuing this tradition of human creativity. The fate of those ancient beasts is tragic. Their downfall was, at least in part, because of humans. However, it is us, today, that have the opportunity to keep their memory alive and, if able, offer our assistance to the beasts that survived. Better to be a species remembered for that, rather than one defined by the extinction we once wrought.
Condos.